Hi everyone, Ron Spomer here in Namibia with Immenhof Safaris, and I have a guest, I guess, with me, or what I call you, a buddy. These days, I guess you're a buddy. We've only known each other for a short time, but we met at the Dallas Safari Club, and he is with North Fork Bullets. His name is Eric Wallen.
Hello, I'm Eric.
And believe it or not, from that accent, he's from Sweden.
That is true. I'm from Sweden.
And this is your first Africa trip, right?
It's the first time in Africa, yeah.
And how this happened is I met him at the SHOT Show, and we, of course, talked ammunition and bullets and whatnot. And I mentioned that I was going to Africa, and he said, you know, that'd be a great place to try our bullets. Have you ever used North Fork bullets? And I said, no, I mean, I know of them, and I actually have a box that I was going to use once, and I never got around to it other than some test shots for grouping and stuff, but I never hunted with them. So he said, why don't we put something together if you're going to Africa? And then when I introduced him to my PH, he got all excited and said, why don't I come along? And I thought, that sounds like a good idea.
It was a good idea. So thanks a lot for inviting me. It's been great hunting with you here in Namibia, and I'm very happy we got to do this.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about his bullets and how the North Fork bullet got to Sweden, because it started off, as I remember, in Wyoming about, what, 25 years ago?
1996 in Wyoming it started.
96.
Yeah.
So how does a bullet designed and started in Wyoming end up in Sweden?
That's an interesting story. So what happened was the bullets were made in Wyoming for a while, and then they moved up to Oregon. And then I think it was in 2019, the back end of 2019, the guys running it up in Oregon, they wanted to sort of wind down and, you know, leave it to someone else.
Okay.
And then actually the Swedish distributor, who's called Jürgen, he's the CEO now, he stepped up and bought the company. So they ended up moving North Fork, the whole production line, from Oregon to Sweden during spring of 2020.
Ouch. Bad time to move.
Yeah, it was not ideal.
Wow.
But we got it done, and now they're all made in the south of Sweden, in a city called Kristianstad. Yeah, so 100% made in Sweden now.
An American bullet made in Sweden.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Well, as well as you and I did hunting together, I suspect your bullets could work just fine, even if they were designed in America. Now, let's tell everybody about these bullets. I've got a couple of examples of how well they worked right here. Now, I've been shooting a 757 Mauser, 2,700 feet per second with hand loads. I got some federal ammunition. This is all a hurry-up job on my part because my rifle didn't come in until fairly late. It's that new SD10 you've been watching me shoot.
Oh, yeah.
I was all excited about that rifle, yeah, and I worked them loads up. I only tried, I think, 3 different loads, and I came up with about an MOA grouping, and thought, man, that is plenty good enough for African game, and brought it over, and it has been working just beautifully. And here are a couple of bullets we recovered. Now, this one was shot into an eland, and it was a 1,000-pound, roughly, animal. The big antelope, the world's biggest. And when we recovered this bullet from a chest shot, broadside behind the shoulder, classic chest shot, took out 2 ribs, and we found it, I guess it was on the other side, right against the hide, wasn't it?
Yeah, right about on the other side.
Yeah. And this is what it looked like, and we'll get some cutaways to show you, but we've got about a 2x expansion on the nose. You can see the lead flattened out there. Gosh, it looks like a classic. And then look at that long shank. And this I like, because a long shank means you're going to penetrate well. You've got a lot of mass behind that expanded nose, so you keep penetrating. And that, I think, what we've seen with these bullets. This one is a bit more mangled, hit more bone, and this one came out of an oryx. And that's about a 700-pound animal, and hit some major leg bone on that one. But we recovered it, and it looks real similar, just not quite as perfectly mushroomed.
Yeah, so as you can see from these, the design, it's a bonded frontal lead core that's going to expand. As soon as it hits something, it's going to expand. And then you, as Ron said, you got this long copper shank that's going to ensure the bullet keeps on driving through. And I was so happy that we managed to find this one, because this is actually exactly what we want the bullets to do. And this is exactly what we see them doing when we're testing them. And now we got sort of the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
This one we got out of a 1,000-pound eland, right? This is real life.
So what I'd like to get, we haven't gotten it yet, there's a bullet in a zebra leg. I shot a zebra from about 250 yards. Yeah. And I held where my PH Werner said to hold for a heart shot and went right over the top of the heart. We watched him open it up, and it was right over the aorta, just like bam, perfect shot. And that bullet is lodged somewhere in the offside shoulder. But this is a professional butchery here. All of their game meat is either consumed locally or sold. They actually make meats and sausages and dried meats and different things, and they sell them here and in Germany.
Yep.
They've got an arrangement, so they've got a professional operation going, and they hang their meat for tenderizing it and all this stuff. So we can't just go in there and start hacking away to find our bullets. We have to wait until the meat cutters get things cut up. So we're hoping we can find that bullet before this is over, but I'm guessing it looks pretty similar to these two. I just can't see how this bullet would look any differently. How much of the bullet's actual mass is lead?
It's about 20%.
20%.
Yep.
So it's fairly small quantity up in the nose.
Yep.
As you can see here from the unfired bullets, it's kind of a classic look and shape. When I first saw it, I thought, boy, that is not today's high BC sleek bullet.
No.
But what I was impressed with was the ballistics of it, not just the terminal performance, but I was shocked at what I could get for a maximum point blank range out of this.
Yep.
I zeroed about 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches high at 100. At 150, I was peaking at just over 3 inches high, and I didn't drop but 5 inches, maybe 5.5 at 300 yards. And that's pretty impressive because most of the shots over here are inside of 300 yards.
Easily.
Yeah, I think I've taken pretty much everything at it right around 150 to 250 yards.
250, I think, was your longest.
Now, what was your longest?
My longest is probably the zebra at around 200 yards.
Just 200.
200.
You got close. Now, you're shooting a much faster round.
Yeah, so I got the 300 Weatherby Magnum, which is doing the 180 grain bullet. I got loaded up. It's doing about 3150. And then I also got the 165 grain, and that's going at 3300.
Now, this looks like a hollow point, so that must be an all-copper bullet?
Yep, this is our new, the CPX bullet. It's an expanding copper bullet, 100% copper. And yeah, it's going to expand and, penetrate just like the SS, except, it doesn't have the lead component.
Yeah. Now, is that a final design, or are you guys still tweaking and working on others?
Yeah, so we are pretty much done with this one in the popular calibers, in the 308. Actually, this is an experimental version of the 308 bullet that I'm using in the 300. But yeah, it's very similar to the one you're going to be able to buy in the stores.
Now, you shot through almost everything.
Everything.
So
I shot
You did not recover.
No,
you didn't recover a single bullet.
Yeah, my bullet just went straight on through.
And that says something about velocity. What were you shooting? What speeds were you getting there?
Well, 3150 for the 180 and 3300 for the 165.
Okay, so you're a good 300-400 feet per second faster than I am.
But still, Ron, I gotta say, I was very impressed with the penetrative performance of your bullets. Going even at 2700, you said. I mean, this thing went almost all the way through the eland.
Yeah,
and
that's a big animal.
That's a big animal.
Yeah.
And then this one, the one that's a bit more mangled, you got from the Oryx. And remember the way it was sticking out?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
you should tell
this.
About that.
We got to show them some pictures of this one. Yeah, I shot that thing from about 200 or so. And when I looked at the side to try to feel where the bullet might be lodged against the skin, I didn't have to feel it because it was sticking out. It had tumbled somewhere in there, and it ended up poking a hole this way, and the expansion kept it in there. I had to take a knife and slice it open a little bit to pull it out. But it did a great job taking down that Oryx.
Yeah, they're tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll show those. Those pictures are really cool.
And actually, I was very happy to see that too, because that final tumbling, it happens, so we see that this bullet has obviously hit something quite hard, which made it tumble, right? It didn't affect the terminal performance.
No.
But
got you a good expansion initially.
Exactly. And the way it tumbles and sort of bounces against the skin on the other side of the animal is perfect if you're hunting something like buffalo, where you don't want the bullets to go all the way through and, potentially wounding something else.
Oh, yeah.
So I was so happy to see that, because that's exactly what we're seeing in the buffalo calibers. So, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure I told with the weight of this. This is just a 160 grain bullet. The 757 is a classic traditional cartridge in the early years in African hunting, starting in 1900 or 1895 or whenever they started using it. But Bell, of course, famously used it for his elephant hunting, and that was around 1900 till 1918, somewhere in that range. And he used a 173 grain fully jacketed military bullet. But this, I was thinking, you know, I'm not hunting elephants and needing to penetrate brains. I think for the plains game, that 160 grain might be the good balance in this 7mm. And I think it's proven to be just that.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the performance.
You've taken down some of the toughest game with one shots.
Yeah, so the oryx is a famously tough animal that's hard to bring down, but we have found that if you put it in the right place, they come down. The same with the eland and the zebra. Zebra's extra tough. We were hoping to get the kudu, but we couldn't find the big guy I was looking for. But that's not much bigger than an oryx, and it doesn't have quite the reputation of durability as the oryx. I think that oryx is the critter to test a bullet on.
That's the one.
Really? What did we take, 3 of them?
Total between us? Yeah, you took
I
two,
took 2,
right?
and
I took one,
Yeah.
So actually, I wanted to tell you, you know, me coming here with the 300 Weatherby, you know, one of the fastest 300 Magnums in the world, and you shooting the 757, I was actually a bit jealous of the performance you were getting. I was thinking, what do I need all this powder and recoil for? I mean, Ron's doing fine with his 757.
Well, I have been here many times before, and I have hunted with a 300 Weatherby Magnum. Obviously, nothing wrong with it. Great cartridge, gives you a little additional reach, but you really don't need it to take down the animal. The power is not what takes down the animal. It's the right bullet in the right place.
That's the one.
We always say that, and we mean it.
Yeah, and I was shooting the little steenbuck. You know, the
20
tiny
pounds.
20-pound antelope, like
20-pound steenbuck.
And this, you know, with the 300 Weatherby at close range, is going just whack straight on through. But there was no shock.
Yeah,
The little guy still ran, and you know, like if you don't shock him with the 300, you know,
What are you
one
gonna
animal
shock,
you're gonna shock, right?
Yeah, the shock thing you can't depend on. It's always argued. A lot of guys say it's absolutely essential, and it really does the job. Obviously, Roy Weatherby suggested that when he built it. It was a good sales pitch, but it really, you cannot count on it. It seems to be that if you hit the animal when its heart is beating in the, I guess, the systolic pressure, the peak pressure of that pump, if your bullet happens to smack just at that time, it over-amplifies the
Pushes them
blood
over the edge
pressure.
and gives them a stroke.
Gives them enough to give them a stroke in the brain. Seems to be what the evidence suggests, but who can time the heartbeat of it?
Yeah, not me.
Not me, not anybody. So yeah, put a hole in the right place and you're going to do the job.
Yeah.
So if you guys are looking for a bullet that really stays together, you're interested in a controlled expansion bullet, bonded lead core, or no lead core, all copper. As most of you know, I really like the all coppers, but that doesn't mean I don't occasionally investigate something like this. And in a traditional controlled expansion bullet with lead, I am really impressed with what this one does. They didn't overdo the lead content. They didn't stick it in the shank. I don't think you really need to, and this bullet proves it. It's just that long shank to contain all of its mass and push that nose forward. We got beautiful penetration. The effect on game was optimal. I was impressed with the accuracy. I'm just shooting a single shot rifle, so I had to be pretty confident that I was going to hit what I was going to hit. But boy, was it fun carrying that little lightweight rifle around.
Yeah.
Every time I picked up your rifle, I went, oh, I'm glad I'm not carrying it.
And mine isn't even that heavy.
No, it really isn't.
Standard.
Yeah,
Weight.
it's kind of a standard, but
yours is such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Such a little beautiful rifle.
well, we had a great time. So once again, North Fork Bullets. It's an all-American bullet that's now got a partner in Sweden. It's an all-Swedish bullet now, but it's a sweet Swedish bullet. Eric, we got to do this again sometime.
We do, Ron.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I enjoyed hunting with you. You're a fun partner, just the kind of hunting partner somebody wants. He's always stepped up and ready to go and never complaining, and he shoots well and he hunts well and he laughs and he has a great time. What more could you want? And he makes a pretty darn good bullet too. So check out North Fork Bullets if you're looking for something that's been proven in Africa. All right, until next time, this is Ron Spomer. Hunt honest and shoot straight.